Today is March 7th, 2016, and 94 years ago, Baldwin Locomotive Works construction number 55246 entered service as engine 28 on the Sierra Railway. Upon arrival at Jamestown, Sierra number 28 was put into service hauling gravel trains to the site of the original Don Pedro Dam in Tuolumne County. These trains were very heavy and often required even a large locomotive like number 28 to doublehead with other smaller engines such as number 22. When the dam project was completed and the branch line removed in 1923, locomotive number 28 would often be used between Oakdale and Jamestown on freight trains as long as 24 car lengths, either as a mid-train helper or as the lead engine with one of the smaller consolidations cut in 10 or more cars back. In 1925, another dam project was underway a few miles downstream from the town of Malones on the Stanislaus River, and number 28 was again one of the engines that hauled the 22-foot-long blackjack hoppers up the 4% plus grades to Beckley Yard, where a two-truck Shay locomotive would haul the short hoppers along tight curves the remaining 5 miles to the dam site. Again returning to her duties as a mainline freight engine, number 28 saw considerable service through the Depression years and in 1933 replaced locomotive number 32 as the engine used ahead of the regular passenger train, as this service was discontinued in favor of a mixed train. After all rail passenger service was discontinued in 1938, Sierra Railroad number 28 returned to her usual business hauling freight between Oakdale and Jamestown, and remained so through November 1952 when she was retired. On April 17, 1955, Sierra number 28 was brought out of retirement for a brief run with 2662 number 38 from Oakdale to Jamestown and return, in celebration of the railroad's farewell to steam, and the inauguration of the railroad's two new Baldwin Lima Hamilton S12 diesels. From 1957 until 1963, Sierra number 28 was one of the two remaining operational steam locomotives used in movie and excursion service. On October 19, 1963, the locomotive derailed backing through a switch in Jamestown, effectively ending all excursion trains on the railroad until the opening of Railtown 1897 in May 1971. Throughout the Sierra's history, number 28 has been the darling workhorse of the Sierra Railroad and has touched the hearts of countless visitors. It has been nearly 7 years since she took her last breath, and we are looking forward to welcoming her back from her long sleep this year. Okay, so welcome to the Shoptime for March 7th, 2016. It's been a few months since I made the last one. I think it was in November, so it's been about 4 months. And there's a couple reasons it took me so long to get to this. One is, well, I wanted to have the next Shoptime take place on March 7th, which, as you saw in the history segment, has quite a bit to do with Sierra number 28 entering service on the Sierra Railway. That, and I needed to allow myself some time to get more of the work done on the locomotive. I finished the tender, lettered and decaled it, painted, finished the valve gear on both sides. So I've done quite a bit of work over the past few months. Well, anyway, let's take a closer look at the 28 and see exactly what I've done. So as you can see, the valve gear on the engineer side here is complete, as I said before. Actually, the valve gear on both sides is pretty much finished. There are a couple small things that I have to do, like add the linkages that connect the valve gear to the, the controls in the cab, obviously to be able to change the position of the valve gear and whatnot. I removed the stub that the whistle was attached to. The whistle ended up breaking off even though I soldered it together. But I got another way to build the whistle more durably, so I took the rest of it off. I'm going to go and try to fix that and have it back on in the next month or so. I added the check valve to the engineer's side. I have to do it to the fireman's side. There's a few other details that I have to attach to the boiler. Like the steps to get up to the sand dome on the fireman's side, and a few other things. I have to replace the Bachmann smoke box front that I've got on there now with a 3D printed one, which I had ordered, but it ended up being the wrong size, so I have to order another one. Hopefully I'll get that done in the next, hopefully another month. I'll have the new one in place. Part of the boiler looks it looks a little discolored compared with the rest of it, and that is because I accidentally got some brush strokes on the boiler when I was doing some of the detail work, so I'm going to have to go back and do a little bit more spray painting to get everything back to the right colors, so that I can eventually weather everything properly later, because to me it doesn't look that great. Right now I think everything should blend together until I'm ready to do weathering on it. But it's been quite a while since we saw the 28 last in Shoptime vlogs, so quite a bit has been done. I added Archer rivet decals to the boiler as usual. The cab has been built and completed. It also has Archer rivet decals. Building the oil tank was a little interesting. It was probably one of the biggest pains of this project, especially because it ended up being too heavy. The locomotive would barely pull anything, besides its tender. So I had to take a bunch of the weight out, and some of the weight, the lead shot, is still rolling around in there because I couldn't get it entirely out. Yeah, the tender is pretty much done. There's a couple things on top I still need to add, like the water hatch. There's a couple things on the oil tank I need to add. I need to add the toolbox. So the engine's not entirely finished yet, but she's getting there. And she's really something to be proud of. The first engine I actually completed the running gear on. As you can see, the valve gear is 100% reciprocating now. I'll have to show you a video of the valve gear up close in motion. But it looks really good and it works really good, so I'm really proud of how this engine has turned out so far. That's really all I have to show in regards to the 28. I hope you guys have liked following my build progress. Something I gotta say right now is if you have not already checked the Sierra Railway 1929 Facebook page, I advise that you go down to the description below the video and click on the link. And there you'll be able to find more in-depth pictures showing the build of this engine, and also locomotives 3, 32, and number 30 as well. You'll be able to find all those pictures there on the Sierra 1929 Facebook page. So with that, let's move on to the next segment. Alright, so I'm back again with another freight car review this month, and this one is a Proto 2000 Series 8,000 gallon tank car decorated for the Union Oil Company of California, or UOCX. This one was a limited run kit. I got mine at a train show for $8, but usually I see them assembled on eBay for more than $40, so because they're so hard to find, I guess that's why they go for such a high price. Anyway, the detail on this car is pretty good. There are two issues that I have with it though, only two. One is the fragility of the parts that are included that you have to install on the car. One example is the main handrail that runs around the center of the tank. I couldn't even install the plastic one before it shattered, like it broke into pieces before I could even glue it on. So I had to replace it with a brass handrail that's on there now. The other issue is the numbers on both sides of the tank, which are company applied or factory applied lettering. The number 8018 on both sides of the tank is crooked and it isn't in line with the rest of the lettering. And that's really something you can't fix unless you want to strip the decals off carefully and then try to apply your own. And even then they probably wouldn't match the rest of the lettering. So those are two issues that I have with it. But if you can overlook those, the car is very, very nice. Once you build it, or if you buy an assembled one, the detail is very nice and is very well done. The small lettering is legible if you have a magnifying glass, or if you don't even, you can still read it. The car did come with Kadee semi-scale wheel sets and Kadee couplers, but I elected to use Sargent couplers instead, as usual. Anyway, there are very few other things that I can fault with this model. It is very well done, the kind of model you would expect from Proto 2000, although I will say that in the future, I would suggest that they come up with more durable detail parts to attach to it, especially that main handrail, because you really can't handle the car without bumping that, which is why I needed to place a brass one on the model instead of the plastic one. So anyway, this is a very nice car. It's a very good beginner's level kit. Speaking of which, I will not be featuring any Westerfield models or Funaro and Camerlengo kits in this kind of review, because those are kits that I would not have been doing when I started out modeling. These reviews are really for people that are just starting out with limited experience in modeling. I really didn't even need the instructions to build this. I suppose some people might, but it was pretty straightforward. All the parts just fit into place. Some of them snap into place and you just put a little dab of glue on there and they hold pretty well. So it's a very nice card, very beginner friendly, and I highly recommend it to anyone looking to include a 1920s era tank car in their freight train. So yeah, that's it for this review. Let's move on with the rest of the video.
So here we have Sierra number 3 again, and this time her main rod and engineer side check valve are back in place, as well as the air compressor, which had all been removed for a while. Finally got them back in place. New main rod. I had to build a new one to replace the one before it, which was only temporary, and I finally got to replacing that. Also got to replacing the check valve, which I had made a few months back before I even moved to this new place. I had the engineer side check valve, but I misplaced it somewhere and I never did find it, so I had to make a new one. The air compressor, I just had that taken off, never had the chance to put it back. I figured since the other two pieces on this side were missing, just wait until I put them back in place. So I did, and I finally got that done. But anyway, who cares about that? That's boring. That's nothing really incredibly special. So let's take a look at this side of the locomotive. As always, it seems like one side of my engines is always more detailed than the other. Here you can see the drive wheels have the correct counterweights now. There's one drive wheel on the other side that also has a squared counterweight. And I've been slowly cutting out the crescent counterweights that come on the Bachmann drivers that I've been using and replacing them with styrene, little styrene shims that are the right shape. And there's no difference in how they work. Like I used to make laser cut drivers that were the right counterweight before, but they never seemed to work very well. So now I'm just cutting out the counterweights that come with the Bachmann drivers and just putting new ones in, and it doesn't damage how the engine works at all. I really wish I had thought of that some time ago, but yeah, I'm finally doing it. The engine rolls great. Yeah, actually the locomotive rolls freely right now because the center wheel does not have a gear on it. I'm actually looking to replace the whole gear setup inside the locomotive with a gearbox from Northwest Shortline. So right now the engine just rolls freely. Part of the reason I also did that right now, instead of just waiting to take everything out, was because I needed to see if there were any binds in the locomotive to make sure that she'll run smoothly once she gets the gearbox transplanted. So so far so good. She seems to roll pretty well. But yeah, so anyway, that's CR number 3. So we're on to the final segment of the Shoptime blog, and if it seems a little short, I'm sorry, but it just came a little quickly this month. Doesn't seem like I have a whole lot to show, but well, the Jamestown module is getting to its final stage of completion. Finally going to be doing, really doing scenery work on it. It's got some dirt down on it already from before, but I've also got some paper bags put down over the foam. I'm going to be putting dirt over that soon. So yeah, all the foam except for one area is covered, and the reason it's not covered in that area is because that's where the concrete passenger platform for when the Hotel Neville's used to be, right in that area. I'm going to be putting the concrete platform there at some point, so there's not supposed to be any dirt going there. I've got this little track bumper that was made of foam. I put that in place and put little pieces of cardboard over it. I mean, not cardboard, paper bags. Put crumpled up paper bags over the little stump that serves as a track bumper. Got a new freight car a few days ago, and that is a Westerfield car. It was advertised as an AccuRail car on eBay, and as a result I ended up getting it for $22, including shipping. But then when I got it, I immediately knew that it was a more high-end kit, and it turns out to be Westerfield. So usually Westerfield cars assembled and weathered like this one is can go for over $100 if they're really good. This one's pretty good, and I got it for $22, so I got lucky with this one. See if you can see it better over here. But it's pretty nice. It fits in well with the other cars that I've got. So what else? Jamestown module wise, I've been doing more track laying lately. You can see the Proto 87 tie plates have been going down. I've been trying to do more and more of those so that I can get ready to ballast the track. The rail has to be, it has to have Proto 87 tie plates and spikes, as well as weathered rail before I can go ahead and put the ballast down over it. And also the track has to be surrounded with dirt, like in this area. Need to have dirt around in between the tracks. So a little bit more work to do, but it's getting there. It's coming along, so I hope to have this thing ready to go for the Sierra Railway seminar. Well, anyway guys, again, sorry if this is a little short this month. But yeah, I've got a lot going on. Gotta have this thing ready to go for the seminar in April, and that is Sunday, April 17th at the Jamestown Hope Center. It is actually just down the Walk of Fame from Railtown State Park. It's at the end of the road that is straight down from the freight depot, and at the corner of Saco Road. So yeah, hope to see you there. There is information that you can find on my Sierra Railway 1929 page, and also the Sierra Railroad Historical Society page has all the event information. So just keep an eye out for that. Hope to see you there. And well, anyway, that's the end of the shop time. So I will see you within the next couple of months. Today is November 8th, 2015, and on this day in 1897, the Sierra Railway inaugurated passenger service to Jamestown, California, sparking days of celebration and drawing a crowd of more than 2,500 residents from all over Calaveras and Tuolumne counties.